There's no prize quite like it, the Tattersall Cup. Awarded to the overall winner at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia's Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, the Tattersall Cup symbolises strength, endurance, passion and triumph in the face of adversity. Ever since the Sydney Hobart Yacht Race started in 1945, sailors from across Australia and around the globe have sought to take ownership of one of world yachting's great prizes. There's no battle quite like the tussle for the Tattersall, and today you're given a front row seat to the action direct from Hobart. Join us now as we see who takes overall honours, the greatest prize, a battle across the entire fleet in the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. When the 157 yachts departed Sydney Harbour on Boxing Day, the fourth biggest fleet ever, the Tattersall Cup for the overall handicap winner was up for grabs, and also the various divisions. The favourite for the Tattersall Cup was reigning Australian Ocean Racer of the Year, Matt Allen, in his Formula One Grand Prix TP52 Ichiban. Joining me here today is Olympic silver medalist Olivia Price and celebrated journalist Rupert Guinness. Liv, the 60-footers dominated the handicap last year, but how have things evolved in 2019?
It's been really interesting, Gordon, to see the battles among the divisions as well as for the overall win. We've seen smaller yachts at the top of the leaderboard for IRC, as well as the TP52s and a couple of 40-footers. So we've got Cutwincher among the group, we had two Unlimited, and of course the TP52. So it's been really interesting to see what division has been sitting at the top of the leaderboard throughout the race.
And Rupy, you've been dealing on RolexSydneyHobart.com, profiling a lot of the smaller boats. Is that the real DNA of the race?
Very much, Gordo. There is so much attention initially on the race for line honours, which is always dramatic and exciting. But rest assured, for more than 100 boats in this fleet, the main interest or focus is to try and win the Tattersall Cup, the race for overall.
Well, we'll be focusing in this telecast as very much a celebration, won't it be, on the smaller boats that are really trying hard to get to the finish and win their division. So join Olivia and also Rupert as events unfold.
Hello and welcome to the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. With me is award-winning journalist Rupert Guinness, and this is the 75th Sydney Hobart run by the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. As Gordon mentioned, my name's Olivia Price and we're bringing you these stunning pictures from the River Derwent as we make our way through the fleet and discuss the overall battles that have evolved out of the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. Rupert, how has the race unfolded so far?
Thanks, Olivia. Yeah, it's been a superb last 36 hours or 48 hours now, although now the race is actually entering its fourth day. And we're just going alongside Schutzbar here. Very much what the race is about now is the question of who will be winning the overall race, the Tattersall Cup of the Rolex Sydney Hobart race. We saw a brilliant winner in line honours by Comanche yesterday, but no sooner had Comanche and the other four Super Maxis crossed the line and then attention turned towards this classification, which is really the classification that everybody is going for in this Rolex Sydney Hobart.
We've got pictures on Hoodspar at the moment. This is owned by Bruce and Drew Taylor, and they've done 25 Sydney Hobarts together. And now we've got a gaggle of yachts coming down the River Derwent. We've had St Jude, Abbott's Vamp, we've had Koa, but right now we've got Hoodspar on our screen, and there's a couple more yachts coming in behind us. So there was a big light wind patch earlier this morning that affected a lot of the yachts. They got stuck at Tasman Island. However, as you can see, we've got a beautiful sea breeze here in Hobart that is pushing everyone straight down the river and towards the finish line at Castray Esplanade.
I think Constitution Dock has been a bit quiet up until this morning, but it's going to be peak hour very soon. And interestingly, they are actually going to open up Constitution Dock itself to put a lot of the boats in. So that's going to be a great scene there. It's been a long time since we've seen a Rolex Sydney Hobart fleet, take up all the area down there. And I think right now there'd be, a lot of these crews will be thinking of that finish, which is so close now. They're finishing, as you said, Olivia, under some nice breeze. The sun is out, and the reward will be theirs very shortly.
All right, so in front of us here we've got Insomnia, bow number 118 from the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club. They are smoking along here in what is about 15 to 20 knots in this little area right here. They will have to do another jibe, or 2 jibes actually, to get into the finish line. Looks like they're moving their weight forward a little bit, starting to set up, unwinding a couple of sheets from winches. We'll just watch this as it happens. So Insomnia has an asymmetrical spinnaker, so they have to, there's no spinnaker pole as per se, but there is a bowsprit. So they do have to let the spinnaker go all the way around the front of the boat and change sheets. So speaking of the boats that finished overnight, we had a Cruising Yacht Club of Australia TP52 called Guelo. That's owned by Matt Donald and Chris Townsend, and they were right up on the leaderboard for the IRC overall trophy, the Tattersall Cup. They stayed on the podium throughout the race, falling off it a couple of times but making their way back up it. So we were able to catch them last night as they docked into Constitution Dock. We spoke to co-owners Matt Donald and Chris Townsend.
It was another challenging race. Fantastic fleet out there. I think 12 52s on the line. So that was our main division we had to really compete against, even though we're alongside the 60s and 70s most of the way. So it's an exciting race. Challenging at times, but we managed to get, I think, a fantastic result.
Well, it's better than last year, right? We're heading in the right direction. It was a great ride. We had a lot of fun. Great crew, awesome. There was crew. No issues, no challenges. Yeah, Wade. Where is he? Bubs. Where's Skip? Come on, man.
I mean, pretty warm race, so not too tough as it sometimes is, but certainly we had our work cut out for us with all the 52s, as I just heard the boys saying. That was really our goal, to stay in the hunt through the first trough, stay in the race basically, which we did, and then be able to attack it a bit further down the course. So we had a good night last night, which put us in a strong spot to maybe attack Ichiban this morning, but we're super satisfied, we're wrapped.
We're out here on the River Derwent. We've got Pretty Woman having a fantastic jibing duel with one of the other yachts, which I'm not quite sure. I think it's Helsall 3. Yes, it is. So they've been working their way down the River Derwent together. Pretty Woman sitting here just in front at the moment, bow number 54. They are on port jibe, and Helsall 3 had to jibe off onto starboard into more current out on that side of the channel. So Pretty Woman is sitting here in a little bit less wind, however less current as well. So Pretty Woman being a smaller boat than Helsall 3, they've got a symmetrical spinnaker. So although we were talking about Insomnia that had an asymmetrical spinnaker and a bowsprit, we've got a symmetrical spinnaker here with the pole having to be changed in each of the jibes. So on board here we've got a lot of youth crew. So the Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club has a lot of youth crew on board. A lot of them is their first Rolex Sydney Hobart. I can see Jess Angus trimming the spinnaker there. She is a very, very established sailor, mat tracer in her own right. And on board, I know that they would have been working as a team. The communication on board would be really, really ace. And I'm sure that Jess is looking forward to getting on shore along with the rest of the crew.
You've got a feel for the younger members of the crew who are just finishing their first Rolex Sydney Hobart. It's a big moment coming up for them. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of things to talk about.
So we're just having a look at 3 yachts that are making their way down the River Derwent at the moment. The boat that is leading this 3-pack is 2 Unlimited. It's a Tasmanian entrant. They were leading for quite a long period.
Obviously a popular boat because it's Tasmanian, but you can see with it's got quite a large spectator fleet following her, hasn't she?
There's plenty of spectator fleets that are looking at the, I think, 15 strong Tasmanian fleet in the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart.
Of course, this year's race has had a huge fleet, 157, and remarkably, it's only had a few withdrawals, which to this point, which is a credit to the preparation of the yachts, I think, and the crews, and albeit the conditions may have obviously helped or have not hindered, it's still great to see so many yachts finish into Hobart.
So one of the yachts that came in overnight was Ronnie Omenlaki's Stay Calm Hungry. Let's have a look at what they had to say.
So last year we lost our mast and we ended up in Aladala for a few days while we recover. So this year is much better because our mast is still pointing to the sky, so it's a good sign. So after the last year we purchased the boat. She got a new mast. We got very lucky, so we got a mast from our sister ship, a second-hand mast that never been used. And we are riggers, so all of our spare times we're working on the boat. Therefore, in this race, we did not have any damage. This was our main goal to get here. We just want to finish it as a first Hungarian finisher in the race. Race is not finished at Tasman Light. You think we just turn right at Tasman Light and we are there. The race is being won and lost in that part. So it's a significant part of the race. Lots of sail changes, lots of different winds. And you need to get up on the river, lots of current. So this is a difficult part. This is one of the worst places to sail, from Tasman Light to Hobart. So it's not good. It's not a pleasant feeling. You just want to get to the finish line and have a beer.
So some beautiful shots here of the second surge of the Rolex Sydney Hobart fleet making their way up the River Derwent.
It's fantastic to see these yachts finishing. I mean, over the years we just get to see them going at the start and then going out the heads, and then you just don't see them again until they dock at the finish. So this is a unique sight that we have here, seeing these crews finish coming up the Derwent like this, and it really is a majestic scene, you know, particularly when you see them close up like we are now, and then when you turn your head and you look back and you do see all the sails coming up behind us. So this is a special day to see a Sydney Hobart fleet finish as it is now.
Yeah, so this is GYR Ragamuffin that is on our screen. They're just going into their jibe. The sheet was let go quite quickly and they've got to get it around the front of the boat and then jibe the main sheet. I do want to remind everyone it's quite windy here at the moment. It's, as you can see, the crew work is just coming on now. It's quite tiring. 4 days of sailing, especially across Bass Strait in a Rolex Sydney Hobart. So GYR Ragamuffin actually has the youngest sailor on board, just turned 18 a week ago, Rupert.
That's amazing, isn't it? And of course they're sailing for the Kids Cancer Project as well. It's always great to see crews or boats racing, not just for their own sake, but for causes and charities. It goes to show how much sport can really sort of generate not just funds but awareness for the causes that they're sailing for or representing. It's like interesting that the conditions may not have been as brutal as some past Rolex Sydney Hobarts, but certainly, as Sean Langman of Naval Group said when he finished, it was one of the most tactically challenging races he's ever had. So the hardship of a Rolex Sydney Hobart is not always just based on how hard the conditions are or how brutal and physical they are. It's the conditions and what sort of challenges they throw at you.
Yes. So we've got Carrera S on our screen. They've made their way all the way up the Derwent. They look like they're setting up for a jibe. We've positioned ourselves fantastically for these manoeuvres. Crew at the ready. Looks like some tactics being described from the back.
Well, we talk about first-timers in the Rolex Sydney Hobart. For Carrera S, this is the boat's first time.
Fantastic.
In this great race, owned by Jerry Cantwell and from the Sandringham Yacht Club in Victoria. So this is a great day for them and for the boat and for the Sandringham Yacht Club too.
Yes, so let's take a look back at what the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart is all about.
You're watching the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia's Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. The 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart is the historic 75th staging of the 628 Nautical Mile Classic, a celebrated journey that starts on stunning Sydney Harbour, works its way down the New South Wales coast and passes formidable Bass Strait, then along the rugged Tasmanian east coast, through Storm Bay and finishing in the always challenging Derwent. There's no race quite like the Rolex Sydney Hobart. For more on the great race, visit rolexsydneyhobart.com.
So whilst we're waiting for a few more yachts to come around the corner and make their way to the final surge of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, we're able to catch up with Craig Neal, who is the co-owner of Quest. Let's hear about how their race went and how close they were to beating Matt Allen, which is a race within itself of the TP52s.
First night out, we came in, I think, looking quite strong. Next day was a lot of reaching, which really didn't suit us. Then last night we sort of came home, raced really hard through the night, woke up this morning and we were back in front again, and it was a real tussle to the end. Unfortunately for us, we got caught in Storm Bay. There was nothing. So we sat there and tried to move and we couldn't get moving. And look, I think, Ichiban is, the boat to beat. It's an incredible program, great team, great outfit. And for some reason we seem to be the ones that upset them from time to time. And, we beat them in the last race in Bird Island. Could have gone either way, I think, today. My co-owner Bob Steele was unable to make it on the boat this time. He broke some ribs in an earlier race, and we really missed him. Yeah.
So one of the boats that has frequented the top spot on IRC overall in the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart is Daguet 3. So they're the French entrant in this year's race, and we were able to speak to Frédéric Pouzin, the owner of the Curve 46, about his Rolex Sydney Hobart yacht race experience.
It was exactly as we expected. A lot of wind, waves, no wind at certain time, and long run with a Genie curve, full speed was crazy, nice. Lots of very high level competitors. So it's something different. For me, it's the best race in the world for sure. Very happy with the boat. We have to learn a lot with the boat now. But for 1 week before, it was we start from zero. And finally, we have a nice place. We think we are exactly at the place we imagined to be. And yes, we know that this boat has a big potential, so we will be back for sure.
It was great. The whole crew is meeting at certain points, so we didn't sail at the same time, really, but it was great.
They are all competitors, really. We have an Australian guy on board, and to be all in the crew and making some very nice melting pot, pushing all the time with a lot of energy together. It's very nice. No, it's not a question just to be French and to be the only one. It's just proud to race this race with this team and all with the other competitors, mainly from Australia, of course, but it's this pleasure to share that with all the other competitors.
And welcome back to the River Derwent, the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. We're bringing you a big bunch of boats that have come in the second surge of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race after their park up at Tasman Island. So on our screen, our next boat making their way to the finish, Patriot.
Yeah, Olivia, Patriot's another Victorian boat. She's owned by Jason Close, and Jason saw no alternative but to come back for this year's race, the 75th edition of the Sydney Hobart, after Patriot broke a rudder and she retired from last year's race. So there you go. You have a setback and you come back and have another go. And this year, it looks like she's going to make it to the finish.
You can see the crew are very excited to get to the finish at Castro Esplanade, and I think they'll be excited to get onto land. And as you said, they'll be stoked to have made it down the whole passage, the whole 628 nautical miles.
Her only other Sydney Hobart was in 2010, so certainly hasn't got a lot of Rolex Sydney Hobart experience, but she's making up for what she hasn't got today with this great finish by her, so well done to them.
So just whilst we're waiting for these yachts to come down, we spoke to Barry Cuneo last night, owner of Envy Scooters, about why he thinks the TP52s are quite competitive in the Rolex Sydney Hobart.
Yeah, it's been a really good year for us. We've had the boat for 2.5 years, and we've been on a constant development program to get the boat up to the latest generation and the latest technologies. We came into this race wanting to do well. We had a 2-1 record against Ichiban this year of wins against him, and so it's pretty even. But his experience, he's got an enormous amount of experience and technology in his boat. So we're always a bit of an underdog. Well, we've put together a very evenly matched crew. We're very compatible. The big things, we've got Rafa Trujillo, the dual Olympian and medalist, Spanish. He's also the high performance coach for Australia, and he's just got our own Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron sailor, Jake Lilly, into the Olympics again last weekend. We've also brought one of the key helmsmen from the TP Super Series over in Europe, Frenchman Mikhail. He's come on here as a specialist helmsman, and he brings a great deal to the class in Australia to show that those professionals come over here and want to do the Rolex Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race. They love it.
So just on your screen now, it's Malagai, owned by Murray Owens and Jenny Kings, making the final dash down the river to the finish at Castray Esplanade.
They're definitely looking at the finish line. Their eyes are zeroed in.
They have no jibes left. All they have to do is cross the line. Now they're New Zealanders, but they represent the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. They've been in Australia for a very long time now, and they've done a lot of the last Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht races.
Again, they're racing for a number of charities. As part of this race, the Cystic Fibrosis, Zero to Hero for suicide prevention, and the Black Dog Institute. So they've taken a lot on board, so to speak, with a view to trying to help others, if not raise money, but to raise awareness for their causes. Certainly the atmosphere in Hobart on land is building up by the hour as the crews are arriving and finishing. There's the traditional scenes of families and friends meeting each other, and very quickly the local establishments are filling up with crews celebrating.
It's our first Hobart. We're a group of amateurs supported by a very professional team of 5 local people. But obviously with 11 amateurs on board, it's very difficult to compete against the best teams and fastest boats in the world. So yes, of course, we are happy. I mean, the 12th place in the first Hobart for a bunch of amateurs is really a good performance, I think. It's fantastic. I mean, I participated in many races around the world, in Caribbean, Europe. There is atmosphere like nowhere else, and seriously, you guys are absolutely spectacular in creating that kind of atmosphere, and parading with your boat along those hundreds of people. It feels absolutely marvelous. Well, I think it's my first Hobart, so the highlight really was crossing the finish line.
We're watching Van Diemen 3 coming down to the finish line of the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race.
Yeah, she's got quite a story. It's a good yacht to sign off on with. Van Diemen 3 is owned by Robert Vaughan. She's a wooden cruiser designed by Warren Muir and built by Dave Blair. This is also her first Rolex Sydney Hobart, but she's actually representing the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania.
This is a crew that knows how to do it.
She is a gorgeous boat, isn't she? Huh? She's Olivia. She's
very pretty to look at.
Yeah.
The gorgeous spinnaker out the front, very clean lines.
A nice sign-off in many ways to see a yacht like this finish.
It is. So Van Diemen 3 making their way to the finish line, just 100 metres to go. The Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race for 2019 has had so many ups and downs. We've had high pressures, low pressures. We've had winners, we've had elation. We've had 3 yachts having to pull out. But 154 look like they will be making it across the finish line, Rupert. So thank you very much for watching our live broadcast of the second surge of the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race for 2019. My name's Olivia Price, and on behalf of Rupert Guinness, the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia, and the Rolex Sydney Hobart, thank you for watching, and continue to stay up to date on www.rolexsydneyhobart.com.
The winner of the 2019 75th Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race is Ichiban with Matt Allen, his 3rd victory in this race, twice the skipper.
Oh, look, it's unbelievable. I mean, we've spent sort of 4 decades, trying to get our hands on this trophy, and to do it, 2 times in 3 years is just amazing. It's an exceptional crew we've got, and You know, we made all the right moves during the race, and we just couldn't be happier to be here today, you know, holding the Tattersall Cup. Ichiban's just a great boat. It's a great all-round boat. It does everything well, and to be in a 52-footer and to be in the Bass Strait, you know, just ahead of some of the Super Maxis was, it was a good fun moment for the crew. I think we'll be keeping this boat for a while. I mean, there's not many boats that have won 2 out of 3 Sydney to Hobart. You know, no Rolex Sydney to Hobart race is easy to win, and I think the 3 times that I've won it, you have to have won it at least 2 or 3 times in the water. That's what the fascination is of this race. It's so incredibly difficult to win. We're always looking at sort of increasing the boat's performance by, you know, probably only 0.1 of 1%, you know, here and there. The fact that we can average, you know, 16 knots over a period of time in this boat is just incredible. It was unheard of, you know, even, you know, 10 years ago. So, you know, they're more fun to sail. I mean, they're physical boats, they're not easy to sail, but they are really enjoyable boats to sail, you know, a lot more enjoyable than the old boats. Coming up the Derwent, doing 19 knots, where last year we were lucky to be doing half a knot. I tell you what, that made a big difference to morale. It's a lot about the history and all the people that have competed in you know, over those 75 years, and what a great year to win, you know, at the 75th. Like, it's a real milestone number for the race, you know, and my 30th race is just an incredible feeling. We started celebrating when we hit the dock. I mean, we knew we had a good chance, and it's fair to say the boys have been celebrating ever since. The rest of the crews around the dock have been terrific. You know, they've all come up and congratulated and want to talk to us, and you know, it's a really great feeling on the dock amongst all the sailors.
It's quite a surreal experience, really. Coming from Ireland as a sailor, if you ever thought you could end up here, it was probably a dream.
Obviously, growing up in Hobart, it's always a big part of the summer down here, and seeing all the boats finish, it's great to actually be part of it.
People are here because they want to see the boats, they want to hear your stories, they want to feel and participate in the event itself. There is no better place to end a race, I don't think.
What a wonderful race it's been. We've seen 157 yachts start, still 154 racing, so just a testimony to the preparedness of the yachtsmen and women who are bringing these boats down. The dropout rate, I think, is unprecedented, so we're very grateful for that.
The premier ocean racing navigator in the world, the CYC Ocean Navigator of the Year, is a marine ecologist and a master mariner from North Queensland, Will Oxley. The skipper, the immediate past president of Australian sailing, his 30th race, and now a 3-time winner after his first victory in 1983 with Lou Abrahams in Challenge, Matt Allen from New South Wales. Congratulations to Ichiban in the 75th Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race. The Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race is proudly run by the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia alongside its finishing partners at the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania. The Cruising Yacht Club of Australia and the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race thanks Rolex for its long-term partnership of the race, starting way back in 2002. Support is also greatly appreciated by the CYCA's other race partners, including the Tasmanian Government, Tourism Tasmania, Events Tasmania, Audi Centre Sydney, Winning Appliances, Tasports, Janicet Sea, Grinders Coffee, and the New South Wales Government's Roads and Maritime Services. To the 1,800 strong crew, supporters, family, friends and fans who followed the race, a big thank you for your support. Thanks for watching the 2019 Rolex Sydney Hobart, the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia's historic 75th Sydney Hobart Yacht Race.